Okay, now you tell one.
Uh, when I was younger, I used to, well, let's start with this. I grew up in a like rural-ish area, so they had abandoned warehouses, and we had big old like concrete ponds. I don't really know how to describe them besides that.
Like cisterns?
Possibly they were really weirdly built. I can't even like Google them. I think the engineer, or the architect that built them didn't even know what he was wanting to do with them because it was supposed to be something else besides a warehouse. But nevertheless, I was crawfishing is what I used to call it. I used to rub it up and down the concrete. And I used to love to catch crawfish. I was a tomboy growing up. And one of those days, I wasn't paying attention. It had rained, and I slipped, fell on mud, rock right into my knee. Super painful. I was in elementary school. I was dragging my leg for weeks. Absolute pain. And I couldn't tell if it was the fever or what it was, but I was laying in my bed that night. I had rolled up the windows, and it was like 98 plus degrees, Houston weather, humid as heck. It was nasty. And I'm trying to fall asleep, and it's probably just a little bit after midnight. I'm trying to convince myself to sleep, and out of nowhere I hear pitter patter. And I'm like, what is the sound? My sister's not home. My parents should be asleep. What is the sound? Like, my dogs are outside, but I can hear the sound of claws in the tile, and I can hear it in the carpet. I can hear something like ripping the carpet as it's walking. And I'm like, okay, that is clearly not my dog Argus. What is that? And as I'm like processing it all, I'm like, clearly it's my brother messing with me. So I scream, I grab my pillow, Mario, leave me alone. I toss it at just the darkness because that's what I assumed it was. And it was towards the sound. And as that pillow landed the floor, something like gurgled at me. It made this like sound. And I panicked. I popped out of the bed. And I looked around, and I was screaming my head off. I was like, quit messing with me, leave me alone. Like, I really thought it was my brother, and the sound of pitter patter increased, and it got louder. And I freaked out. I threw the blanket over my head. And as I was hearing it, I could hear it get closer and closer. And I finally decided to like pick up the cover because I could feel it. I could feel the breathing on me. And I was like, what is the sound? And out of like, so where it was coming from was the carpeted hallway, and it was hitting the tile. And as it passed the carpet to the tile, the claw marks started to change. It started to sound like claws and hooves. And I was like, claws and hooves, what is this? I finally I'm like peeping out the cover. I grab a flashlight, and it is nothing that I've ever seen in life. It was this horrendous creature that had like hooves for like feet on the back end, but the front was all wolf. But its face wasn't either bear nor lion. It was this weird, deformed, mutinous creature with exposed teeth, and it was all black, and its fur was all over the place. And it lounged at me like it wanted to attack me. But instead of lounging and getting me, it crawled up the window, and it kind of hung there. And it disappeared in the middle of the night, and I was like, I am sure to be crazy. I woke up the next morning, I started pinching myself. I'm like, I'm crazy.
There.
We're all crazy.
I kid you not.
Join the club.
There was claw marks on the window the following morning. I do not know what they were. I do not know what it was. I do not know, but I know that it was real because there was claw marks on the window. They were far too big to be raccoon. They were far too big to be my turkey. I have no idea where those claws came from, but they were on my window exactly where that thing touched.